Men today don't die from war. They die from rot within. They die in the false safety of comfort, in soulless relationships, on office chairs, crushed by dreams they never dared to live. You think age is the death of attraction? You're wrong. Age strips you down and shows the truth. You're either a real man or just an aging failure. In this video, I'll expose 8 traits that can't be faked. 8 signs that prove you're still the kind of man this world quietly respects, even if you don't realize it yourself. If you've ever asked yourself why you're still alone, why you still feel invisible no matter how hard you try, then you need to watch this to the end. Because true attractiveness isn't about how many years of youth you have left. It's about how you've forged your soul through every goddamn failure. Don't miss it. The truth starts now. If this is your first time visiting the channel, hit subscribe and like so you don't miss out on exciting upcoming content. If you're still chasing after the approval of others, I've got bad news for you. You've never grown up. You're just an overgrown boy wearing a man's body. A truly attractive man doesn't need validation. He doesn't live to please the crowd. He walks into a room, not to be noticed, but because that's where he needs to be. The world can stand and applaud or spit and turn its back. He'll still do what he's meant to do. Unshaken, unmoved. The weakness of modern men is this. They live like dogs begging for scraps of praise. They post every little accomplishment online, hungry for a like, a hollow compliment from people who aren't even worth mentioning their name. And every time they live for those claps, they sell another piece of their soul. You want a brutal truth? The more someone craves acceptance, the more forgettable he becomes. The more he needs to be liked, the more invisible he is. Because real value is never born from begging. An attractive man lives by internal standards. He knows who he is, even when the world is blind. He builds principles, discipline, self-respect, and he uses those as the only currency to define himself. He doesn't seek admiration. He does his work, and if someone's smart enough to recognize it, fine. If not, who cares? You want to be the man women crave? The man others envy but can't admit it? Then stop asking for permission to exist. Stop bargaining for acceptance. Live by your own code. Do what you believe is right, even if no one claps for you. Learn to stay silent in the face of praise and stone cold before criticism. Don't try to win their game. Build your own game. And when you finally stop giving a damn about what others think, that's when they'll start paying attention. But by then, you won't need their attention anymore. You weren't born to please the world. You were born to build a world you respect. Everything else is just noise. A truly attractive man isn't someone who's never fallen. He's attractive because he has fallen, and he's still standing. Failure is the test most men don't even dare to face. The polished ones, the ones always bragging about their little victories, they only know the taste of cheap wins. They've never been crushed under life's boot, never lost everything, never woken up with nothing left but themselves. But you have. If you've lost money, lost love, been betrayed, stared into contemptuous eyes, and still didn't turn yourself into a bitter complainer, you've already passed a test that most modern men aren't even brave enough to register for. Today's soft world teaches men to fear failure, to stay safe, to protect their fragile egos from every bruise. What they don't understand is every time you dodge failure, you dodge real growth. A scar on your skin, a debt that once kept you awake, a love that broke you, none of it weakened you. It built a spine that no school, no book, no seminar could ever give you. Attractive men aren't the ones who boast about smooth victories. They are the ones who tell stories of failures with burning eyes, because they've died once and come back alive. If you carry the scars of your losses, don't be ashamed. Treat them as medals. Every crack, every wound is proof that you didn't run. You fought, you bled, you rose, you faced life without flinching. So don't ever erase your failures from your story. Don't sugarcoat them. Don't hide them. If someone asks, tell it straight. Let your roughness, your rawness, be the fire that draws in those who still know how to respect what's real. Because in the end, the world doesn't need another boy who's never been hurt. It needs men who have been crushed and refuse to stay down. You want to be attractive? Don't show off your victories, show your scars. A child reacts. A man controls. If you still let anger explode every time someone insults you, if you let frustration drown you just because someone disrespects you, if you let anxiety eat you alive every time you fail, then I'm sorry. You haven't grown up. You're still a slave to your most primitive emotions. A man's true attractiveness doesn't come from a pretty face or a smooth voice. It comes from the ability to stand still in the middle of a storm. It's in his capacity to face humiliation, rejection, and loss with a face cold as steel and a heart burning quietly underneath. Take a hard look. How many times in your life have you destroyed relationships, blown opportunities, just because you couldn't control a moment of rage? How many times have you shrunk yourself down, made yourself small and pathetic, just because you couldn't handle temporary injustice? Emotions, if unchecked, are the trap that kills a man's dignity. They make you act like a fool. They expose your weaknesses. They strip you of the only thing that sets you apart, your calm. You think calm is something you're born with? No. It's forged through blood and tears, through hundreds of times when you had to clench your teeth and not lash out, thousands of times you had to stay silent instead of smashing someone's face in, tens of thousands of times you had to hold a slight smile while the whole world tried to see you fall. An attractive man isn't someone without emotions. He feels everything, but he chooses which emotions are allowed to come out and which must stay locked in the furnace inside. If you want to truly become attractive, start today. Don't let anyone or anything control your emotions. Don't let petty ups and downs shake you. Let your gaze, your voice, your steps send one clear message. I am not easily moved. It will make you stand out instantly. In a world full of men as fragile as glass, a man who controls his emotions is a mountain. And make no mistake, controlling your emotions doesn't mean turning into a cold, dead rock. It means knowing when to fight, when to step back, when to laugh, and when to walk away without a word. When you own what's inside, no one outside can control you anymore. That is true freedom for a man. An attractive man is not a slave to money. He uses money as a tool, but never lets it become his master. This world is full of men who sell their souls for a few extra dollars. They bow their heads to people they secretly despise. They compromise the values they once swore to protect, all just to live a few more years in a slightly bigger box and wear a slightly heavier watch. And then they tell themselves they've succeeded. But the truth is, they're nothing more than high-end beggars. Nothing more. Money doesn't make you stronger. It only amplifies who you already are. If you're weak, money will make you a weak man with options. If you're insecure, money will make you an insecure man with assets. If you lack self-respect, money will buy you a crowd to drown your emptiness, but it will never fill it. An attractive man knows this with absolute clarity. He earns money, manages it, uses it, but never bows to it. He's willing to turn down lucrative deals if they demand he betray the principles he's built his life on. He understands that some things are non-negotiable, and a man's honor is one of them. Money will tempt you over and over in your life. It will whisper sweet lies in your ear. Just close your eyes and do it, just this once. And every time you give in, every time you make excuses, you cut away a piece of your soul for a bit of temporary comfort. You want to know how to spot a real man? Watch how he handles himself when a big pile of money is on the table, but only if he's willing to sell his dignity to get it. The weak will dive in like starving animals. The strong will weigh it carefully, and if necessary, turn their backs and walk away without regret. Money can buy a lot of things. Self-respect is not one of them. And that's exactly why self-respect is what makes a man irreplaceable. If you want to be more attractive than any other man out there, learn to live with money, but never live for it. Let your wealth serve your life, not define who you are. Because in the end, the car you drive, the house you live in, the number sitting in your bank account, none of it will last. Only the character you built will survive. Don't spend your life with a price tag hanging around your neck. Only the weak fear loneliness. A real man understands that solitude is not the enemy. It's the forge where true strength is built. It's the place where the ordinary wither and die and the warriors grow. An attractive man doesn't make friends out of fear of being alone. He doesn't fall into love just to silence the echo of his own soul at night. He doesn't stuff his life with fake relationships just to fill the empty spaces he should have faced and conquered on his own. This world is flooded with rotten relationships from the start. Friendships built on convenience, love signed in fear of loneliness, marriages formed under the crushing weight of social pressure. And the result? People bound together not by trust or respect, but by desperation and dependency. They stay together, but inside, they're both dying. A truly attractive man never accepts that kind of lie. He'd rather drink alone than laugh with people he secretly despises. He'd rather wake up in an empty room than lie beside someone who only deepens his emptiness. Loneliness doesn't kill you. It only strips away your illusions. It exposes the weaknesses you tried to hide. It forces you to face who you really are when there's no one left to impress. And if you have the guts to stare into that truth, you'll walk out of the darkness stronger than anyone else. If you don't learn how to stand alone, you'll always need someone to save you. And a man who needs saving is never attractive. The attractive man saves himself. He's the one who can stand alone in a cold world, with no hand to hold, no one patting his back, and still walk tall. Chosen solitude is a test. It asks you, can you endure the silence? Can you live without anyone telling you you're good enough? If the answer is yes, you've already taken your first step into the ranks of men the world envies and desperately needs. So don't fear solitude. Embrace it. Use it to forge yourself. Build a foundation so solid no one can ever shake it. And when you emerge from that solitude, you won't be searching for anyone. The right people will find you, not because you need them, but because they'll recognize you as the one man who doesn't need anyone to be whole. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you find this video helpful. It's the best way to support me in creating more valuable content. Only fools think they have to constantly do something to prove they exist. A truly attractive man understands that sometimes the greatest power lies in doing nothing. Have you noticed how the weak scramble to react to everything? One slight insult sends them bristling. One petty opportunity has them fighting over it like dogs scrambling for a bone. One minor rejection drives them insane like a child crying over stolen candy. They don't understand that immediate reaction is the mark of an undeveloped soul. A real man doesn't react to everything. He chooses, he calculates, and many times he chooses to do nothing. Not because he's afraid, but because he knows not every battle is worth fighting. Not every challenge deserves an answer. Not every fool deserves a punch. Silence, patience, the refusal to react, this is the art of the strong. It's the sign of a man who has mastered his lowest instincts. Sometimes not responding is the strongest response. Sometimes not acting is the smartest move. An attractive man doesn't need to prove his strength to every pair of watching eyes. His mere presence says it all. I have nothing to prove to you. When you master the art of doing nothing at the right time, you avoid useless arguments, impulsive traps, and battles where the reward isn't worth the blood spilled. You save your energy for real wars. You save your dignity for things that truly matter. The most attractive men you've ever seen, the warriors, the leaders, the legends, they are masters of patience. They know how to wait. They know how to endure. They know when to step back to launch 3 steps forward. And they absolutely refuse to let anyone drag them into a petty game. If you haven't learned the art of standing still, you're not ready for the summit. If you can't handle silence, you'll be torn apart by the noise of the world. Remember this, the mountain does not hurry. The rock is unmoved by the wind. A real man knows that sometimes the ultimate show of power is stillness. And in a world obsessed with noise and frantic action, the man who can sit still, silent, and watch, he is the one everyone fears. This world is flooded with men ready to kneel for cheap rewards, a little approval from the crowd, a bonus check, a nod from people they secretly despise, all because they have no real standards, or if they do, They're willing to sell them out the first time they're tested. You will never be a truly attractive man if your principles can be negotiated. Standards aren't for show. They are bloodlines. They are the final barrier protecting you from becoming another puppet for the world to pull by the strings. When you refuse to do something, even when it promises money, fame, acceptance, simply because it betrays what you believe in, that's when you don't just keep your standards, you affirm your worth. And true worth radiates a power no amount of money can buy. Who do you think deserves admiration? The man who can flex and twist himself into whatever shape the world demands? Or the man who stands tall in the middle of the storm, saying no to every temptation because he knows who he is and knows some prices are too high to pay? Mediocre men sell themselves piece by piece, often without even realizing it. They trade respect for convenience, truth for applause, principles for a higher place in the eyes of people they once looked down on. And one day they look around and realize they've become nothing but a hollow shell wearing a fake smile. An attractive man is different. He might be hungry, he might be broke, he might be alone, but he never sells out his standards. He would rather die standing than live on his knees. When you hold your standards firm, you automatically filter out those who aren't worthy of your life. The half-hearted, the opportunists, the fake connections, they will all fall away. What remains will be the people, the opportunities, the bonds that truly match the man you've built yourself into. Keeping your standards won't make life easier. It will make you hated, misunderstood, isolated. But in exchange, you'll gain something few ever touch: true freedom. You want to be attractive? You want to be respected, even by those who don't fully understand you? Then never bargain with your standards. Never give in when your soul is screaming, don't do it. Real value isn't measured by what you achieve. It's measured by what you refuse to betray to get there. Mediocre men live only to satisfy themselves. They eat to be full. They make money to spend it. They work just to secure shelter and cheap entertainment, and they die as if they never even existed. But a truly attractive man is different. He lives for something greater than himself. A man only becomes truly great when he devotes his life to something beyond personal selfishness. Family, ideals, community. A mission he chose with his own hands and swore to protect until his final breath. No one respects a man who lives only for himself. Women disdain him, friends drift away from him, society forgets him. But a man who shoulders a responsibility greater than himself, even if he falls, leaves behind a shadow that endures. You want to know why some men walk into a room and make everyone go silent? Because you can feel the weight they carry. You can see in their eyes a purpose so fierce it doesn't even need words. They don't have to look strong, they are strength. Not because of muscle, not because of money, but because they chose to live for something greater than themselves. Living for yourself is easy. Just chase fleeting pleasures and nibble at cheap moments of satisfaction. Living for something greater means embracing pain, embracing sacrifice, embracing loneliness. And that's why so few choose that path. But if you dare to choose it, you will become the kind of man others secretly admire, but are too afraid to admit it. A man whose name makes others lift their heads when it's spoken. No one remembers the man who lived only to consume, but they will tell stories about the man who lived to build. They will pass down the legacy of those who lived with their whole heart and soul and left something eternal long after their bodies turned to dust. You want to be attractive? Stop asking, what can I get? Start asking, what can I give? Because in the end, a real man is not defined by the number in his bank account or the women he slept with. He is defined by what remains after he's gone. Live small and die forgotten. Live big and become immortal in the minds of others. The choice is yours. Thank you for being here. If you found this video helpful, subscribe, turn on notifications, and like this video. Don't forget to leave a comment so we can spread positivity together.